They were able to overtake the terrorists?
We have some hints. You have the 4 athletes on the plane, Jeremy Glick and Mark Bingham and Todd Beamer and Tom Burnett, who were actively having conversations with people on the ground, telling them that, that they were going to take some sort of action. And others on the plane were also indicating that they were going to try to use whatever by whatever means necessary to try to rush the cockpit. And at that point they had as their weapons silverware on the plane, the plasticware, and hot water. They had there's indication that they used the serving cart on the plane as a battering ram. So clearly there was an orchestrated effort by many of the passengers to come together in a matter of minutes.
It is. They're just ordinary people on an ordinary day on an ordinary flight who became extraordinary heroes. We have to take a quick break, but we are going to continue our discussion with Amy in just a moment. Then later I'll be talking with some folks who lost loved ones on Flight 93. That and much more when we return. Welcome back to Honoring Flight 93. I'm Lynn Doyle. The events of September 11th are etched into our national consciousness, an elaborate terrorist attack on a massive scale that left us all reeling. And amazingly, it could have been worse if not for the courageous actions of passengers on United Flight 93. Almost as soon as the crime scene was cleared, people started arriving in Somerset County to see for themselves where the heroes made their last stand. For some, just witnessing the sight wasn't enough of a tribute. One of the special features of the Flight 93 Memorial is something totally unplanned, but it can be spotted at places like this chain link fence. Items left behind by visitors.
They want to say, I was here. I came here and I paid my respects and I honored the passengers and crew. Sometimes they come here and they have a real message. They have something they want to say.
Written messages come from all over with words of praise for those who perished and the families they left behind. This note came from a personal friend of the pilot who regrets not visiting sooner. But most items are left by total strangers who feel a special debt of gratitude. There are mementos that are elaborate and others which are deceptively simple, like this brick. It would have probably gone unnoticed had it not been for a note attached to it.
The message tells us that this brick is from a compound in Kandahar, Afghanistan, that was being held by the Taliban. And that on October 20th, 2001, the U.S. Special Forces overtook the compound and is now using it against the Al-Qaeda. And they brought it here in tribute to their first warriors in the global war on terror. And it was signed the 19th Special Forces.
Some of the tributes speak volumes without words, like this Purple Heart or these military bracelets. An item of special significance to local residents is this one.
The plane is a toy plane with a message on it from students in Shanksville. And Shanksville is the little town I was living in. It's about 1.5 miles from the crash site, directly on the flight path. And if the plane had been up in the air another second or two and then come down, it might have hit our school. All 500 children in the area from kindergarten through high school are in the one building. My grandson was in the building on that day. And this plane represents the gratitude that the students felt that their lives were spared that day.
Shanksville came close to losing an entire generation in an instant, and this heartfelt tribute now has a permanent home at the Flight 93 Memorial. The curator at the Flight 93 Memorial estimates that some 40,000 objects have now been left as tributes, and that doesn't count all the handwritten messages that people have left behind. Joining us once again is journalist Amy Warden, who writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer. She's seen a lot of these tributes herself. Why do people feel compelled to leave these messages for these heroes of Flight 93?
Well, it's interesting. From almost the days when it was just shortly after 9/11, when it was still a crime scene and the FBI was still there, they had set up hay bales, something for people to put their mementos and their tributes on, and that then turned into a sort of what was known as the temporary memorial, which was essentially just a chain link fence, and people came there bearing all kinds of tributes, be it flowers and flags and many angels of every size and shape, large items, carved stone, carved brass plaques with the passengers' names, or just, for instance, what somebody had in their pocket. Everybody seems to feel the need to want to demonstrate that they were there and to show their respect.
Appreciate
yes.
what was done by the fallen heroes.
Yes.
What's the emotional state of most of the people who visit the site?
You can't go there and not be affected. It's in one respect, until now, until the development of the park, there really was nothing to see. It was a field. But it's a very dramatic landscape in the mountains, and I think people, once they understand, thanks to the Flight 93 ambassadors, the local volunteers who help tell people what happened there, I think once they understand where the events took place, they come and they contemplate. I mean, it's a place of contemplation. It is a cemetery.
And is that emotional state even more so now, or are we less emotional about it because 10 years have passed?
Well, I've been out every year since 2001, and you still see the emotion. I think it's still very much on the surface for people. I mean, we're almost approaching a time when there's a new generation of people who were children then, who may not have even remembered the actual event, are coming out to see it. People have not forgotten. There still remains power.
The thing that touched me so much was the idea that a generation of children at that school could have been lost on that day. How did the local residents react to this having happened in their own backyard and now having this memorial erected there?
Right. Well, it was something that obviously nobody in the tiny town of Shanksville, population 245, could ever have imagined happening. Fate visited this place, and they have absolutely made the best of it. The community has come together as volunteers at the site, and also as part of the Flight 93 Commission to develop the park itself. The community's been involved, but then again, people have gone back to their daily lives. But nevertheless, that they know that they're in a special place now.
Now, the first phase of construction has been completed, and we're going to be talking about that later in the show. But still, this memorial seems to be lagging behind some of the others elsewhere in the country. Any observations as to why?
It's been a struggle. It's been every year for the families and the representatives of the Park Service to go, to Congress to ask for more money. It's been the private fundraising that's gone on. It has been assembling a very large parcel. I mean, 2,000 acres in all. Dealing with multiple landowners and deciding on an architect, deciding on a design. It's been a long trek to get here.
Now, if you are interested, by the way, in supporting the Flight 93 Memorial, we have a way that you can do that. You can make a donation at the website. It's called honorflight93.org, or you can call them at 202-354-6488. And I certainly hope that people will take advantage of that opportunity to show their support. Amy Warden, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. When we return, we'll learn more about a few of those on board Flight 93 by those who knew them best. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Honoring Flight 93, where we're paying tribute to the men and women who fought back against hijackers who were planning to attack the Capitol. We're joined now by Ed Root and Emily Schenkel, who are relatives of crew member Lorraine Bay. Emily, Ed, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Ed,